everyone. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes. So what I'd like you to do actually at the very top of the screen that you see there, there are two bit.lys. So the first one, go ahead, either one of them, it doesn't really matter because it takes you to the same sort of thing. But the first one is really for you. So go ahead and write that down and make sure that you put in the capitals because that's really important. So let me read it off to you so you know exactly. And I hope you're all ready to take notes because I'm going to be going through a lot first. So, so if you write down that top one, so it's bit.ly/ and then it's capital WCC. Those three are capitalized, and then lowercase champs 2021. Okay. Go ahead and write that down. And that takes you to our website. And at that website, you can get this whole presentation. And just so you know, this presentation, we're adding to it as we go. But this is what we're going to be going over today. So I have several things and they're all kind of interconnected. So it'll be helpful, I hope. Over here, I have resources. This takes you to the Calendar Help Center, which is the help site for Google Calendar. It is the best. It really is. If you want your question answered, that's where you go. This is the Google Workspace Learning Center, which actually has some little lessons that you can do. And then they also have, I also put in there the calendar cheat sheet, which they offer as well. All right, so I want to go over some Google basics. This is something that you find across Google. So you're going to see this screen a lot. So there's the waffle. I love food. So all of these things have food names, my opinion. So there's the waffle. When you click on the waffle, it'll take you to it like a list of all the different Google Docs. There is the kebab and the hamburger. Yes, I know, food again. So those are both for more options. They give you more menus. So for instance, if you're looking at the screen and you're like, I don't see what I'm supposed to be doing, look for the kebab or the hamburger. And when you click on that, you'll get another menu with more choices. The question mark is really great to get help. Now you're not going to get a person. I know it's just going to take you to a site, but it will help you. And that's also where you can send feedback to Google, which is also very helpful. The gear. Now, this is something that is across more than just Calendar and Google. This is pretty universal that the gear means settings. So anything that has to do with like the way your screen looks or, you know, especially the way that your screen looks or the way your screen is organized, that's under settings. Or defaults, those kinds of things, those are all under settings. So look for the gear. Generally speaking, in Google, the gear is always in the upper right-hand corner. Generally speaking, not always, but generally. Okay, so I'm going to start off with explaining a little bit about calendars. Now I know you're like, oh gosh, I know what an event is, Laurie. You don't have to show it to me. But, you know, just to remember, an event is something that's on a calendar. Now, if you have a traditional calendar on the wall, okay, you have a calendar and it's got boxes, that's a calendar. The great thing about using Google Calendar is that you can have several different calendars showing up in one place, okay, and they're color coded and everything so that you can see. I will give you my own example. I see my work calendar, but I also see my personal calendar. They're laid on top of each other so that if someone contacts me and wants to have a meeting with me and it's like after my work hours, I can just immediately look at my work calendar because I have it set up so I can see it all. Okay, so that's what's really great. You can also have like other calendars, like maybe you set up a calendar for birthdays of every one of your staff. You can see that that's separate and you can have it laid on top of your other calendars. And that's why Google Calendar is so great. You can see everything all at once. So you can be super organized. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started and get into the meat of things. So sharing your calendar. Now you're probably saying, why do I want to share my calendar? You want to share your calendar so that people don't have to ask you when you're free. There is now, I'm not sure if this is a default and I didn't have time to ask, but when you do this, you can actually set it up so that everyone in West Contra Costa can see your calendar. Now you're probably thinking, I don't want them to see my whole calendar. I really don't. But you can have it set up so that what they see is when there's a block and you have something there like an appointment already set up, it just says busy. So I'm going to show you. This explains how you do that. I'm going to go ahead and exit this, go into a calendar, and I'm going to show you where that is. So here I am. Wait, let me look at something really quick. Okay. Okay, so a couple of things I want to show you about calendar is that this bar on the left is really important. This is the list of all your calendars. Okay, don't freak out if you don't have as many calendars as I do. You don't want to have all these. This is like a hot mess right now. I did do some cleaning, but these are all the calendars that I can see. Okay, down below are other calendars that I can see that I've subscribed to, and I'll talk about that in a minute. This is my main calendar. How do I know it's my main calendar? It's because it's at the top, number one. Okay. The second thing is it exactly matches the name on my Google account. All right, what's the name on my Google account? If I go over here, I can see it. You see it right there, it says Google account and it says the whole name, WCC USD EdTech Laurie Roberts. And then it has my email address. That's the name of my Google account. So I know it matches. Great, that's all I need. Okay, so I'm going to click on the kebab. And then I'm going to click on settings and sharing. Now, when I do this, I'm just doing this for this one calendar. Every single one of those things on that list is a separate calendar, but I'm going to click here for settings and sharing. Okay. And down here, down a little bit, it says access permissions. Now I could make my calendar public. I don't want to do that. All the people in the world don't need to be able to see my calendar. So I'm not going to check that. But I do have this one checked. Make available for West Contra Costa Unified School District. I suggest you do that if that's not checked. Okay. And then here, I click on this little drop down and I just make sure these are the other choices. See all event details. Nope, don't want that. I don't want people to see my event details. I just want them to see if I'm free or busy. And in just a second, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. All right, so this is up to you. I do this because I want it to go across all my Google apps. So I suggest that you click on that one too. Don't bother with get shareable link. You're fine. This is good for work. This is great. This is all you need. Okay, I'm in settings. To get out of settings, I'm going to click on this arrow here right next to the word settings, upper left-hand corner. Okay, I'm back in my calendar. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you, and I'm sorry I'm in the small, but I'm going to show you how to set up, your work hours. I don't know if you knew about this, but this is actually pretty cool. You can set up your work hours, and what's great about that is that if someone tries to add you to a meeting that's beyond your work hours, it'll say this person may not be available, which is actually kind of cool. So this is how you set your work hours. So I tell you everything, and now I'm just going to show you. Let's see if I can do this here. Okay. Back in my calendar, I'm going to click on the settings gear. And then I'm going to click on the word settings. So you're going to see this a lot. Settings gear, word settings. Okay, so here we go. There's a nice little menu right here. I'm going to click on working hours. And it just scrolls it right down to working hours. So here is where you can go ahead and change time. I already have mine in here. You may or may not have working hours in there already, but I'm going to go ahead and in here, I'm going to put 9. Because I'm going to be really truthful. That's probably when I pretty much start working, and then I pretty much end around 4:30. Okay. I have said which days I work. So I've clicked all those, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if I click here, notice it says 8:30 to 4 on the other ones. But if I click here, copy time to all, it does it for all of them. Okay. So that is working hours, which is really cool. Okay. That's it. Working hours. That was pretty simple. Let me check something really quick here. I see I have something in the chat. Oh, it's too small. Can you see okay? Is everything big enough? No, is it really small? It shouldn't be. Well, maybe my thing isn't working very well. I don't think this is going to help, but we'll see. Oh, I know what's going to help. Hold on a minute. Okay. Does that help? Is it bigger now? Oh, you may change. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Bertha. I didn't know you were here. Okay, you may have to change your view in Zoom. I don't know if you folks know how to do that, but let me, you know what? Let me try to make it a little bit better for you. Let me see if I can turn this on now. No, I can't do it. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but, and I can't really show that to you, but you can actually change the view. It's in the upper right-hand corner. Oh, thank you, Nicole. View options, zoom ratio, change to size. Great. Thank you. So everyone look in the chat for help on how to make this a little bit bigger. Because I don't, honestly, on this side, I can actually, let's see. What if I do this? Does that, ooh, that makes it bigger. Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll just zoom in on my screen. Hopefully that'll help. Okay, I'm going to go back. Go here. Present. That should be nice and big. 100 is good and 150 is very generous. Yes. Well, you know, it depends on the age of your eyes. My eyes are getting really old. So, all right. Checking calendar availability. Now, how is this related to the whole sharing of your calendar and work hours? This is why, okay? You want to share, I said, you want to share your calendar with WCCUSD so people don't bug you about, hey, when are you free? You know, you don't want to have to do that. So if people have shared their calendars with you, and I believe most people have shared their calendars with WCCUSD, I think that may be a default, but that's something I'd like you to check later. But if it is shared, if the calendar is shared with you, then you will be able to check their calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how this works. And I'm going to use my boss's calendar, which is frightening. Just so everyone can go, ah! My boss is the Chief Technology Officer, Tracy Logan. So this is how this works. Let me make this a little bit bigger and move it over. Oops. Oh. Ah! That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. All right. So here on the left, I told you there's this great menu here. So I'm way over on the left and it says meet with, search for people. I'm going to click in there, and as you can see, I've already been checking my boss's calendar. So either there's going to be a list there, or you can start typing in someone's address. So you know what, Bertha, I'm going to use you as my example. So if I start typing in Bertha, there it is, Bertha Rohrbach. I'm going to go ahead and click on her name. And now what I'm going to see, let me make this a little smaller here. I'm going to see her in purple. How do I know she's purple? Because it shows me purple here. So I see that hers are purple as well. And they say busy. It's not telling me what she's up to. It's just telling me that she's busy. Okay. So, which is fine. I like that. That's what I want to see. So I know that there are certain times that I can't set a meeting with her. You can put more than one person here. So I'm going to put Francie in here too. Because maybe I want to meet with, oops. Maybe I want to meet with Francie and Bertha. So I'm going to put Francie in here too. So now I'm seeing Francie in like a red color. Okay. Or a tomato soup color. So now I have a better idea. So if you want to have a meeting with 3 or 4 people, go ahead and put their names in there and see where the opening is, because it's also showing you your own calendar. That's helpful, right? Okay, great. Okay. close this up here. All right. So that's the way that you check someone's calendar. Super helpful. I mean, I really like to know that kind of stuff before I start trying to make a meeting with someone. Okay, so next thing. Okay, adding other calendars. Okay, so sometimes, and especially in this case where I'm looking around and I see a lot of people who are in office management. So if you're in office management, sometimes you need to add a whole bunch of people's calendars into yours so that you can see it permanently and not have to keep typing in their names to see it, right? It's kind of a pain. So there are a couple of different ways that you can add a calendar. So the first one is by email address. And when you do that, that's for that one person, right? So if I want to add my boss's calendar, I'm going to put in her email address and I can add her calendar, okay? But she has to, there are a couple things that could happen here. So one is that she has not shared her calendar with me, in which case when I try to add it, I won't see anything. I might see the busy, but I won't see anything else until she okays that. So she will get an email that says, she's trying, you know, Laurie's trying to get into your calendar. Are you okay with that? Okay. And sometimes the calendar is already shared with you. And I will show you what that looks like, right? Is that when you add it, you know, the name comes up immediately when you try to add it. So that's adding it by an email address. Now using a link. So there are a lot of calendars out there that are set up, and I'll give you, you know, like there's a public calendar out there that has holidays, all the holidays that you need, right? And so I could get a URL for that and I could add that one in. I could just search for it online, probably just find something, you know, so for instance, if you want all the, I had someone asking me about Jewish holidays. Where would they find that? Well, you could search on Google for a Google Calendar of all the Jewish holidays, copy the URL and paste it into the ad, and then it'll show up on your regular calendar. It's actually kind of cool. There are a lot, and you know, there are things like holidays. There are, you know, maybe someone has set up a birthdays calendar and they send you the URL. You can save it, right? You can put it in with your calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how that's done. Okay, so down here again, down on the left side. Let's see, what is the difference of people being on my calendar or other calendar? So, okay, there, I'm going to talk about that later because I talk a little bit more about team calendars. So that's one's a little bit different. So hold on a second and I'll get there. Okay, so if I want to, for instance, add my boss's calendar, I'm down here on the all the way on the left. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, and just so you know, these are all listed. So these are all calendars I've added already. I'm not seeing them right now because I haven't checked them. If I put a check in the box, I'm going to see Darcy's calendar. You can't see anything on the screen, but anyway, that's basically it. We have in the IT department, we have a big calendar where people put in their absences and when they're taking vacation and when they're taking half days and all of that stuff. And that one is right here, right? So that's kind of nice to know. That's sort of the way that we all as a department log that. And that's something for you to consider if you know, who's in the office, especially now, right? It would be really nice to have a team calendar that's set up where people say, this is when I'm going to be in the office and these are the days that I'm working from home, you know, or times or whatever it is. So, and I'm going to talk about that when I talk about team calendars. But for now, I just want to share with you, these are all calendars that I can get into already. But I'm going to go ahead and add one. So under other calendars, because this is a separate calendar, right? I'm not setting this one up. Click on plus for add other calendars. And I'm going to subscribe to a calendar. Now, this is really cool. I want to show you this. There's something called browse calendars of interest. If I click on that, there are, look at this, Jewish holidays. Hey, there it is. Okay. We have regional holidays. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Okay. I had never looked at that before. That's kind of exciting, you know. So if you have family overseas, you could put sports on there. Who wants cricket? Anyone? Cricket? Anyway, rugby? Sorry. Phases of the moon. Now, this is very useful for people who work in schools. I'm serious. Okay. So anyway, oh, and you know, there are all kind of holidays, whatever. I'm just going to go back. Unfortunately, it puts me right on back. So other calendars, subscribe to calendar, add calendar. Now, do you see there are all these names that come up? I believe these are folks who have already shared their calendars with me, but we'll try. I'm going to check. Let's see. David Oliver's not even in here anymore, I don't think. Anyway, I'm going to click on David Oliver and we'll see what happens. Oh, yeah, I guess I am actually, yes, he has shared his calendar with me already. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm going to click on unsubscribe right now because I don't want him to be like, why is she? Yeah. So I'm going to click on unsubscribe. He actually probably doesn't even know that I'm looking at his calendar right now. Stop laughing, Ennis. Okay. I know I can't hear you, but I know you're laughing. Okay, so that is adding people's calendars, which is great. That's good. That's really good, especially if you work in a large department and you're basically in charge of that whole department, right? Because I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know that office managers are the real bosses here. Everyone knows that. I mean, that's like not a secret. Okay, so next thing, that's adding calendars. I'm gonna talk to you now about removing or hiding calendars. This is actually very different. The next thing I'm going to talk about is deleting calendars, which is a completely different thing. I don't want to talk about that yet. I'm going to talk about hiding or removing calendars. So basically, this is the way it works. Hiding a calendar means that it's in your list. You don't want to see it in the list anymore. It's bugging. You've got like the longest list ever and you never ever check those calendars. However, you might want to at some point. Now, if you're anything like me, you'll hide it and you'll forget about it, but that's okay, whatever. So every once in a while, sometimes it's really good to just go through this list and hide the ones that maybe you want to go back to at some point. Now, removing them from the list permanently is a little bit, it's way more permanent, okay? Because if you remove it, if you unsubscribe, then the only way that you're going to get back in is if someone who owns that calendar lets you back in. Okay, so it's a little, it's semi, I'm going to call that, it says permanently, but I'm going to call it semi-permanent because the thing that I show you in a little bit is like permanent. Okay, so let me get out of here and go back. Okay, so I'm going to give you, so here are my calendars on the side. I don't know if you noticed, but I've got kind of a lot going on. I have also subscribed to my own personal calendars, my family calendar, you know, just so I can see everything that's going on in my life in one place. And I also have a lot of Google Classroom calendars that no one ever uses that I don't really, I mean, I can't really get rid of them because they're attached to Google Classroom, but I just want to hide it. So if I want to hide something, I don't want to see this master science high school. I just don't. I don't want to see it anymore. I'm going to click on the and just so you guys know, my dog is like trying to get me to pet her right now and my mousing hand is right next to the dog. So if I go to the kebab, I click on the kebab, I can click on hide from list and look what happens. Goodbye, it's gone. It's still there somewhere. Don't worry. I'll show you how to unhide it. Hold on. But you know, I can go through here, but again, so these are the calendars that I can see. Let me make this a little bit bigger. As I click through, so if I click here, I want to make this, I want to show it, right? It's going to show up on my calendar. Right now, it's just sort of hanging out there in the back. It's transparent, basically. So if I click on the box, there's a check mark there, and now you can see all of the things on my family calendar, and they're this color. Okay. And I don't know if you notice this. This is the other thing. They're kind of muted. The color is muted if it's past, if it's already happened, right? The color is a little brighter if it's happening right now, or if it's happening in the future. So just keep that in mind as well. One more thing I want to show you. You see this one box here? This actually, it's clear, it's white with just an outline. That means that it's something that I've been invited to, but I haven't yet accepted the invitation. So if you're wondering as you're going through your calendar, what are these that are white with just an outline? Those are invitations that you haven't accepted or declined yet. So just keep that in mind. I like to go through every Sunday night, I go through my calendar to see if I've been invited to anything else for the week and accept or decline, depending. Okay, so now let's say that, let me see, I'm gonna hide something that so this one. I'm gonna go ahead and hide it because I'm gonna show you how to unhide it. So there's unhide, so I've hidden it now. Now it's not in my list, so where do I go? Where do I go? So I go up to settings and click on settings. And then I see this lovely list. You see this list? And then there's an eyeball with a slash through it. Very violent, but anyway, there's an eyeball with a slash through it. That means that it's hidden. So I'm going to scroll down to Pro Learning Fridays. That was the one that I wanted to get back. And when I click on the eyeball, then it goes back up. Where is it? It goes back up to the top because I can see it now. Okay. So, and when I go back to my list, here's my list. I can now see Pro Learning Fridays again and turn it on and off as I need to. Okay. So that's basically all I have to do. For removing a calendar. So let's say that, let's see, here's a calendar. Let's see, this practice calendar can go. I'm done. I don't need that anymore. That was based on a Google Classroom, long story. So what I can do is I can click on the X. Sorry. If I click on the X, I unsubscribe from it. So that's a little more permanent, but I can add it back in later. It's different from hiding though. Okay, so I'm going to click on the X and it gives me a warning. Are you sure you want to remove it? Because if you do, you got to ask someone else to put you back in. Basically, that's what it's saying. I'm going to click on remove calendar and now it's gone. And I can't unhide it either because it's gone. But because it belongs to someone else, they can let me back in again if I really want to. So that's all very different from deleting a calendar. So I'm going to show you this slide because I have some pointed warnings that I want to go over. Okay. Present. All right. So with calendars, deleting calendars. So you really want to proceed with extreme caution before doing this because it can't be undone. So there are a lot of things that you want to think about before you do this. Let me check on the chat real quick. Does the dog have a calendar? Anyway, okay. So you want to proceed with very, very extreme caution, and you want to think through some things. So these are the things you want to think through. Can I live with this if I just hide it? That's the first thing you want to think about. The other thing is, do other people use this calendar? Because if I own it, if I created it and I own it, and I haven't really shared it with anyone so that they're co-owners with me, then when I delete it, it's gone forever. And I mean all the events on that thing, everything that was on that calendar gone. So you need to be very careful. So my third question is, why don't I just hide it? Hint, I think you should probably just hide it, right? It's probably a better idea. But if you want to delete it, this is what happens when you delete it, right? Calendar and all the events are permanently gone. If that calendar is shared with other people, but you haven't made them, co-owners, gone. And you have a primary calendar, that's the one with the same name as your Google name. You can't delete that one ever. You can't ever get rid of that one. Okay, that's your main calendar. You can't get rid of it, but you can clear the events. I'm not even going to show you how to do that. I'm going to make you look that up if you want to do that, because I find that very dangerous. So I basically tell you how to delete a calendar. And basically it's almost the exact same thing as what I did just now, and it will give you a warning, you know, fine, great. So that's good. So that's, I'm not going to show you it or anything because like I said, it's very dangerous, but it's good to know. It's always good to know these things, but I don't really suggest doing that. Okay, here we go. Big stuff, creating a team calendar. When do you want to use a team calendar? Well, like I said, use a team calendar for there are any kind of things you want to do. Maybe it's a calendar of all the people in your physical office that says, you know, this is when I'm in the office, this is when I'm working from home, right? Or maybe it's just this is when I'm in the office, because if they had, yeah, that would be messy. It could be birthdays, it could be sick days, it could be, I don't know, anything, you know, things are planned. I don't know. It could be any number of things, but I'm sure you can figure it out. But basically, they call it team calendars, but it's a shared calendar. So it's a calendar that is, you're not the only person putting the events on it. There are other people putting the events on it. So but that's a really important when you think about sharing it. So there are 2 steps to creating a team calendar. And the first one is you need to create a calendar. So I'm going to do that right now as an example. So what we're going to do, let me escape out of here. Go back into calendar. Okay. I am going to go, okay, wait a minute. Okay. Going down to other calendars. Again. Okay, I was down there before. I'm going to go there again. Let me open this up a little bit further. Going to click on the plus, add other calendars. And that's not the right, oh yeah, create new calendar. It's very confusing because I don't know why they put create new calendar under subscribe, but I'm going to click on create new calendar. So this is a brand new calendar. Is it shared with anyone yet? No, it's not shared yet. That's the second step. We're going to create it first. So I'm going to create this, and this is called the example calendar. Oops, wrong keyboard. I got too many keyboards going on here. All right, so here's my example calendar, and I'm going to put in a description. It's always good to put in as much information as you can. Okay, great. Time zone, you do want to, it's generally going to see where you are, and it's going to put in the right one, so that's fine. Okay, I am the owner, and this is the organization, and look, that's it. That's all I have to say. So I'm going to click on create calendar. Dun, dun, dun. It's created. Don't believe me? I will show you. Going back, scroll down. There's the example calendar. Notice there's nothing on there, right? There are no events. I haven't created any events on the example calendar. So you might want to know how you can change the color. I didn't go over this, but when you go to the kebab, you can pick the color from here. When you start getting a lot of calendars, you need to be careful so that you don't have like a lot of things that are the same color. So I don't know, you might want to set up a system for yourself if you're really organized. So generally though, it'll just pick a color. Oh, a couple other things I want to show you from the kebab is that if I click on display this only, it's only going to show that calendar. So if I click on that right now, it's going to clear all the check boxes except for this one, basically. Okay. So, okay, great. I now have this calendar, but no one else can put anything on there. That's kind of, you know, useless, and no one else can see it. Now, it may be a calendar that people have to tell you things and you put it on there, you know, depending on how you want to set it up, and you put it on there and they can see it. So that would be view only, or you want to have other people putting stuff in. So from here, I'm going to go back to where I was. Here I am, example calendar. I click on the kebab. I go to settings and sharing. Again, this is going to give me setting. I'm not clicking on the gear in the upper right hand corner because that's for the whole calendar. I just want to deal with this one right now. So settings and sharing. At this point, I can change the name. I can change the description. I can change all these things if I want to. Okay, and I can make it available for West Contra Costa. Let's say, so for instance, I'll give you an example. I have created calendars before for like free outside professional learning opportunities for teachers. So I've created that kind of calendar before. And in that case, I don't want it to be free and busy only, right? I want to make sure that they see all the events. So I'm just going to, so got to kind of think through these things, right? I can make it public, but if this is a work calendar, nah, that's all right. If I wanted to share it like widely with other people, other teachers I know in another district, okay, fine. So consider all those things. Okay, now sharing with specific people, this will give them the ability to create events on there, right? Depending. So I'm going to add people, and apparently these are the people that I spend a lot of time with. Oops, sorry. Click on add people, and I get this box. And this box, if I can make this bigger, not gonna let me do it. Okay. And I can go ahead and add people in. So I'm going to go ahead and add Ennis because he's here and he won't be like, what are you doing? Okay, Ennis. And I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add David. He's already on this list. And now this is very important. These are the permissions that they're given. So I'm going to share it with these two people, but these are the permissions that they're given. So right now they can see all the event details. Well, maybe I want them to be able to add events, right? So if I click here on the arrow, I can either click on make changes to events. That means though that I have to create the event and they can make the changes. So that kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. That's kind of a pain. So I'm going to click on make changes and manage sharing. I'm going to let them share with other people too. Okay, so that's it. Now I've shared it with these two people, and they'll maybe share it with a couple other people in the district, maybe in our department. Okay, that's fine. Send. Okay, and now they're in here. Now at any time, let's say that Ennis starts putting his personal stuff on this calendar and he doesn't realize that he's doing it. So I'm going to remove his ability to make changes. So now I'm just going to change it to see all event details. So at any time I can change the sharing details for each person. Okay. All right. There is a question, I guess. Well, I'll take that question in just a second. I made that mistake once. It does happen. So Ennis knows. This is the thing, and I'm not going to talk about this right now, but I really want people to understand this because I actually had this happen recently where like within the last few months where an RSP teacher shared like put on the calendar for a Google Classroom an IEP meeting. Now, you know, those things are like, it's like, no, right? So I do want to share with you that you have to be very careful when you're creating an event. So let me go back here. Because that can happen. And you know what? I found that it happens a lot if you're using Google Classroom, or I'm sorry, Google Calendar on your phone. I find that it's a lot easier to screw that up, to put it on the wrong calendar. So just always promise me that you're going to make sure that you always check which calendar you're adding it before you add it, because I have seen some things that I don't need to see. Okay, just letting you know. And I've done that too. I've put it on the wrong calendar before. All right, so next thing. Ooh, big one. Okay, so that's all explained here. All right, next thing. And I'm at time. Okay, I'm gonna talk really quickly about calendar slots, and I'm actually not going to show you because I made a video. I foresaw that I was not going to have enough time. So appointment slots. So especially if you are an office manager, let's say that it's the beginning of the school year, it's the fall, and because we've all been vaccinated and everyone is healthy, we can go back. Okay, we're going to pretend. And you need to now, because of some different new regulation, you need to go over paperwork with each and every staff person, one-on-one. So what you would do is you would create appointment slots. So this is, and then what you do is you share the appointment slots with people and they get to pick one. So I created a video on this page here, all the instructions. I did not want to put the instructions on here because it's a lot. These are the instructions from Google. And then there's a short video showing you what that looks like, how to do it. But I also don't want to go over it because it's not necessarily something that you're going to use. A lot of people aren't going to use that. Now, team calendars, I think you will use that. Okay, a lot of these other things, I think you will use it. But the appointment slots, not so sure. So, all right, so next. So I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. I'm going to go from room to room. There are 33 people in here. So I'm going to break this up into 4 rooms. So there will be several of you in each room. You can go, if you want, I'm going to leave it up to you. You can go ahead and just, say hi and just continue with your work. And if you have a question, just go ahead and ask your group. Maybe someone has the answer. When you go into a breakout room, there's a button where you can call me. It just gives me a message. It says, oh, someone in room, blah, 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 needs to talk to you, whatever. So that's really cool. Ennis and I are going to be going through the rooms. Ennis, I hope that let's see, I'll check that in just a second. But I have given you some things. If you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do for the next 45 minutes. It's actually more like 40 minutes because I bring you back and we answer any other questions. And then I give you the feedback form. But breakout rooms. So I want you to take this time to practice because like I said, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. I give you some things that you could do, right? You could clean up your calendar. You could make sure your calendar is shared. You can set your work hours. Ooh, I like that one. You can check out the rest of the resources that are in this presentation because there are a lot of them. There are also the Gmail ones. They're all in here as well. So this is the bit.ly where you're going to get to the presentation. Bit.ly, WCC is capitalized, CHAMPS 2021.